Hello and welcome to the Paul Ricard circuit for the third round of the VDV Endurance Series 2016 season. 4 categories are on the menu with the Protos, the Funyos, the single-seaters and the GT LMP3s. The fields are getting bigger and better all the time, and everybody knows there'll be spectacular racing this weekend, especially as V Castellet is a place where the drivers make a huge difference. Let's discover the track. Constructed in 1969, the Paul Ricard circuit has hosted, among other things, 14 Formula 1 Grand Prix, 22 Bol d'Or and 12 MotoGPs. Used exclusively for testing between 1999 and 2009, the circuit quickly became the leader in terms of security with asphalt off zones and polyethylene shock-absorbing barriers. This weekend, the VDV drivers have the chance to take on the longest version of this quick, technical and safe circuit. 5,810 kilometres of pleasure for all the competitors here to take on legendary sections such as the Signe Corner, the Mistral Straight or the Bosso double right-hander. We start the highlights of the third round of the season with the Funyos. This series is always fun and refreshing, and the field is big at V Castellet. 2 categories to follow, the SP05s, which are quicker, and the F5s, where battles are guaranteed. 35 cars are on the starting grid for the first race, and the current championship leader, Romain Houllier, starts on pole ahead of Jean Kelly and Yves Orhan in the number 35. In F5, great work from Cyril Denis, who clocked the quickest time ahead of Patrick Selle and Cédric Gardin. Off the start, Houllier gets away best in front of Tessier, Kelly, Girardot, Boulin, Orhan and Sauvin. In F5, the field is tightly bunched. We are with Robineau. Look to the right of the pole sitter Cyril Denis is nudged by Patrick Selle. What a pity for the man from the start, as he's forced to abandon at the first corner. At the end of the first lap, the SP05 boasts a comfortable lead, the number 24, 3 seconds clear of Jean Kelly. Behind in F5, there's an intense battle between Claude Chaumont, leading by a head from Aurélien Robineau, and we're on board with the latter. The 2 leaders are followed by Cédric Gardin, who is chasing Robineau round. Soon the SPD driver goes on the offensive. He claims second position to the cost of the number 28 on the first corner, and then moves into the lead ahead of Claude Chaumont a few seconds later. A 3-way battle for the category honours then in the closing laps between Cédric Gardin, Robineau and Malinconi. Out in front and blissfully alone is Romain Houllier, now some 7 seconds ahead of Jean Kelly and 10 clear of Ariane Boulin. We're back with Aurélien Robineau in F5 and the battle continues to rage. Look to the left of the picture and the VUSA driver Renaud Malinconi dives to the inside on the opening corner. He's claimed second position and doesn't stop there. He quickly catches Gardin, who is in trouble with his tyres. The F5, number 81, takes the lead on the final lap. A superb display from Malinconi, who started 8th on the grid. Out in front overall, Houllier has literally forgotten about his rivals. On his 31st birthday, he wins his style from Kelly and Boulin. Joy for the 2015 runner-up. The same drivers take the start of race 2, and Houllier gets away fastest in front of Kelly, Boulin, Sauvin and Eric Tessier. At the end of the first lap, the HMC Loeac driver has built a lead over the SP05 number 11 of Prom Autosport and the number 32 of Alain Boulin. Starting last after abandoning in race 1, Cyril Denis is on the charge. In 6 laps, he overtakes no fewer than 15 cars. Quickly up to 4th in his category, Denis then attacks Aurélien Robineau to try to climb to 3rd. Denis ends up getting rid of the number 28 in order to climb on the bottom step of the podium. In front of him, the lead duo consists of Cédric Gardin, coming up in the number 14, and Renaud Malinconi in the number 81. Back to the SP05s, and the uncontested leader up until now, Romain Houllier, is calmly heading towards a second win of the weekend ahead of Kelly. Behind the 2 men, it's knives out for 3rd place between Eric Tessier and Yves Orhan. Orhan ends up claiming the spot on the final lap. The checkered flag means the end to a perfect race by Houllier. The winner, 22 seconds clear of Kelly. The championship leader continues to pick up precious points. After scoring a hat-trick at Le Mans, Romain Houllier hoped to repeat the performance. The Funyo number 24 maintains his good weekend form as he dominates the last race of the meet, winning for the 7th time in 9 races this season. Yves Orhan in the number 35 is second in front of Jean Kelly and Edouard Herry, who goes very well indeed. In F5, Cyril Denis wins the final race of the weekend, but it's Cedric Gardin who is still the championship leader, 5 points ahead of Renaud Malinconi. On the podium, Houllier is savouring it with 294 points. He's extended his championship lead over Kelly and Boulin. An exceptional field for the single-seaters with 31 cars entering the weekend, a championship which never ceases to please, and fond memories of Le Castellet were recalled with the return of David Dreux. The Swiss champion last year is here to take on his potential successors for a single weekend. In qualifying, the surprising Grégoire Saucy bags pole ahead of his compatriot Dreux. The young Belgian Gilles Magnus is on the second row alongside Gilles Herriot. Alex Peroni starts 5th in front of Oscar Arcila. When the lights go off, pole sitter Grégoire Saucy makes the best start and is closely followed by Dreux and Gilles Herriot. Gilles Herriot, who tries to intimidate Dreux at the first chicane, while Alexander Peroni is already up to 4th in the race in front of Magnus and Arcila, who are the two men battling for 5th place. Up front, Saucy is standing up to Dreux, but it's not easy. He's not used to leading a race. The GSK Grand Prix is finding it tough. Back with Arcila, and ahead of him, Saucy is threatened by Dreux, and Saucy makes a mistake on lap 2. David Dreux is back in his favourite position, first from Gilles Herriot, Peroni, Arcila and Magnus. Very quickly, the Australian Peroni rids himself of Herriot and starts catching the leader. Now the battle between the two men really starts. Handicapped by exhaust problems, the RC Formula driver sees the 27 car of the TS course come on strong. Peroni manages to take control of the race on the 4th lap, just before the turn. The championship leader scores another win ahead of Dreux and Herriot. 4th goes to the RC Formula driver Arcila in front of the Belgian Magnus. Joy then for Peroni, who consolidates his championship lead. The following day, Dreux started on pole ahead of Magnus and Peroni. Unfortunately for Peroni, a spin pushed him down to 5th, leaving the Swiss in the lead ahead of Herriot and Magnus. A leading trio which stayed unchanged until the checkered flag. Excellent from Dreux, a winner on his return to the discipline ahead of Herriot and young Magnus. The third and final race, and Dreux is on pole ahead of Herriot. The championship favourites endured a tricky second race, a spin for Peroni when running second, and an abandonment for Arcila. 15th on the grid, the Frenchman will have to climb through the field in order to not be penalised in terms of the championship. A great start from Dreux, really going well here, and he leads from young Herriot and Peroni. Peroni doesn't intend to let the RC Formula man get away and immediately tries to overtake Herriot. And that happens on the first lap. Dreux leads from Peroni, Herriot, Magnus and Creed. Arcila is attacking for all his worth and climbs to 6th place behind Irvin Creed. Meanwhile, the battle for second rages. Herriot back in front of Peroni. The Aussie throws everything into it on the final lap, but then messes up. A second win in 3 races then for Dreux, gently reminding everybody that he's the boss in this category. Herriot is second in front of Peroni. In the overall standings, the Australian benefits from Arcila's woes. He's now 47 clear of Herriot and 53 ahead of Arcila. After the single-seaters, let's move on to the Protos with a full lap of the Castellet circuit. Hello everyone and welcome to the Paul Ricard circuit. We're going to head off on a lap on board at the wheel of this Norma number 40 with David Zollinger driving. We're into the back, we come in 6th gear and then drop down to 3rd. So you need to stay on the inside and jump up a little on the second curve, not come out too wide. Up through the gears, 4th, 5th and almost flat out before coming into the hotel turn, which we take in 3rd gear, then 2nd, and then come into the camp corner. Braking is vital, and you have to be careful on the exit. Don't slide too much. Just ease off a touch for the Sainte-Baume corner. Then we come into the straights and it's flat out all the way until braking for the chicane. This is the quickest section on the track and you need to brake 100 metres out. There's the brakes and then down into second. You can't let the car move too much, just touch the inside curb and then head towards the famous Signe corner. You take that flat out as well. Sixth gear just before it in order to get speed on the inside and come in at approximately 230 kilometers an hour. And then it's the double straight of the Berceau. First down the gears, fifth, then third before driving towards the curb, slightly onto it and then out of the corner and heading towards the Banda. He'll come into that in fourth and then drop to second. We go wide into it in order to come out well and not touch the curbs too much. We come in fifth and then drop to third. We come back to the inside in order to be on the right line for braking at the last corner, the Pont corner, which we'll take in first. And then we need to come out of the corner well, keep on the gas. It's the third round of the Verde Endurance Series 2016 season on MotorsTV. Now the prototypes and the drivers are facing up to a 6-hour race in which the points will be multiplied by 1.5. After the first 2 rounds of the season, the Norma number 2 of the TFT leads the championship from the number 40 and number 22. And on this Castellet track, it's Daniel Bassora's team shining with pole for the Delafosse Danielu Peterson trio in front of the number 8 and the number 21. The championship leaders will start from 4th. The 24 cars await the green flag. And away we go for the 6-hour race, and we're with Vincent Capilliere, second on the grid. Number 22 holds the race lead from 21. Then come the 2 TFTs. Alain Ferte in the 2 has the advantage from the Vincent Capilliere number 8. Behind them, the Palmyre 40 of Zollinger, the Graf 85 and the TFT 6. At the end of the first lap, Jordan Perrois has taken control of the race from the 22. Like at Le Mans, the Frenchman going crazy in the Norma 21 of DB Autosport. Former single-seater Verde driver leading from the sister car, the 22 and the 2. It's the trips to the pits. That's the case for Jean-Ludovic Fubert, Alain Ferte, Vincent Capilliere and David Zollinger. In the prestige category, there's a great performance from the Norma 6, who leads from the 68 at Team 1, driven by Boucher Denada. After 90 minutes, the DB Autosport team is solidly filling the 2 leading spots with a 21 ahead of 22, just before coming into the pit lane for the first wave of refueling stops. Marc-Antoine Danelieu replaces Damien Delafosse in the 22 before the leader Jordan Perrois stops after a brilliant stint, giving us the opportunity to talk to him. Things went well off the start and I quickly took the lead. After that I built on it. I was in control in relation to the curbs in order not to damage the tyres. You are racing in 2 categories. Is that helping you this year in the Verde? Yes, because the protos are like the single-seaters. The biggest difference is the weight, because there's not the same inertia transfer on the quick corner, but it's true that you know how to drive a proto, then the LMP3s are a cakewalk. It's a great school for learning to drive whatever car in whatever category. After 3 hours of racing, the standings have developed a bit. The DB Autosport team still leads. The 22 this time just in front of the Norma 32 of CD Sport. The podium is completed by the TFT 6, the leading prestige in this race. And if the Norma of Bazot, Thirion and Caillon is out in front in prestige, the 68 had to abandon with a broken engine. So the Norma 42 of Palmyre makes the most of that in order to be second in front of the Ligier 15 of IDEX Sport Racing. Going so well since the start of the race, the Ligier 29 has dropped to 7th in the category. Disappointing for Franck Gauvin. The race isn't going well at all. The first event at Barcelona was much better because we were first at the end of the 4.5 hours and a lap clear. Here we're 19th, so that's a huge drop-off and we're very disappointed. Coming into the pits like this is something specific to Verde in order to even out the performances. Is that a good thing from a sporting point of view? Of course, it levels things out and it means newcomers don't get disgusted as they can compete from the get-go. I think the rules involving handicaps are really good, especially as they should be reviewed after every race now. and they can go up as well as come down. So I think the rules are actually very good, nothing wrong with them. Under 2.5 hours from the finish, the championship leaders are only 9th. Handicapped by exhaust issues like in the previous round, and Villarino can't do anything. The Spaniard has to come into the pits for repairs to the back right light. It's a race to forget for the team. There's a lot of focus in the TFT pit because an overall podium finish is still in sight for the Norma 6 leaders in the gentleman category. For now, we're 4th overall with just under 2.5 hours of racing remaining. We have a slightly special strategy for this race, which will allow us to have relatively fresh tyres from the end of the race. We're quite optimistic and we're crossing our fingers that we don't have any mechanical problems. In terms of our team, we've been working together for maybe 8 or 9 years in TFT, and it's quite extraordinary because they always manage to work on the evolutions. The atmosphere is great, and that means we're more relaxed and we can come into the races always very enthusiastic. That means things are going well and we enjoy it above all, and after that we manage to get good results and win. Back to the front of the race, the Norma 22 has put in its 9 handicap stops, unlike the leader, which must still come in for the 8th time. With the sun setting, visibility is limited for the drivers. Kevin Besançon attacks hard in order to build a lead over the 22 in order to still be in the lead after coming into the pits. On the pit wall, the tension is palpable in the DB Auto Sport team. Like at Le Mans, the 32 chooses to come in for the last time under 5 minutes from the finish. The strategy put in place by Mathieu Rosero pays off, and the 32 comes out in the lead, 6 seconds ahead of the 22 of Jens Petersen. The Molini Ball Besançon Fubert trio ends up winning the fantastic duel with the Norma 22 of DB Auto Sport. The two teams are among the teams to be counted on in the VDV Proto category. At Le Mans, we missed out on the win by 8 seconds, and here we have won it by 6 seconds. Our friends and colleagues did great work, the team and the mechanics. I'd already won here last season, and a different team, and we've won again, and that's fantastic. The podium then to finish off this fantastic event. First win of the year for CD Sport ahead of DB Auto Sport and TFT. Tony Pereira's team won in prestige thanks to the Norma number 6. Now to the last event of the VDV weekend. No fewer than 26 cars entered, underlining the success of the series. On the front row, it's 100% Ginetta with the 57 in front of the 59. The second row is entirely Ligier with 13 in front of the 93. In the GTs, there's a Ferrari 1-2, the Visium in front of AF Corse, with third for the Viper 70 of the AN team. The cars set off on the formation lap, 2x2 for this 4-hour race, which promises to be hotly contested. We go on board for the GT start, and what a start for Frederick Vervisch in the 25, gaining 6 spots. At the first chicane, it's the Ginetta 57 that leads from the 59 of the Nova race team, who are championship newcomers. At the end of the first lap, the top 5 is completed by the Ligier 13 and 93, where the Audi 25 is already up to 6th. For the first race, the all-new Ferrari F488 GT3 of Visium is leading from the Porsche IMSA Performance 76, third for the Mercedes 17 of IDEX Sport Racing. There's drama after 50 minutes of racing with transmission problems for the Ginetta 57, which was leading with Lawrence Tomlinson at the wheel. Tough luck for the LNT team that had won at Le Mans. The 59 makes the most of it to take over the race lead. For a first go at VDV, the Italian Nova race team is creating a stir. After an hour of racing come the first pit stops. The mechanics are all abuzz, making sure things happen as quickly as possible. Unfortunately, some run into problems, such as female drivers Stefan Cox in the Porsche 15 and Angelique Detavernier in the Audi 25.
For me, it was my first GT3 race, so yeah, it couldn't go better. It was a super experience, so we had a lot of fun. But we also had some problems, technical problems, some drive-through.
I had a good weekend until so far because we have a problem, as you can see, with the car. So this is never, never good. I was very impressed by this series because we had a lot of driving time, which for all of us is, I think, really important.
After 2.5 hours of racing, a change in the leadership. The number 59 has been forced to abandon. It's the Ligier 13 now leading the way from the 888. At Graf, there's satisfaction at being second under a lap down on the leader, despite a scare with a back marker for Thomas Dagonneau. There was a little coming together with the GT that hadn't seen me, even though I was alongside. So overall, I'm happy with my stint, and now the car is in Eric's hands, and I hope we can go through to the finish like that. In GT, things have been shaken up as the Ferrari 51 moves into first after shock absorber problems for the Ferrari Visium. The Mercedes 17 of Lafargue, father and son, goes second ahead of the Porsche 76 driven by Raymond Narac and the Renault 45 of Thibaut Proust and Jus. Now let's catch up with former F1 driver Andrea Montemini before his stint. Here with the Ferrari, even if it's not the F488, well, it's huge. The series is coming on leaps and bounds with a lot of entrants, a lot of prototypes, professionals, and I think it's very good for the series.
Des professionnels et je pense que c'est très bon pour la série.
Unfortunately for him, the Italian team couldn't win, picking up a penalty for not respecting the racing line under 10 minutes from the flag. The Mercedes 17 capitalises by winning at Le Castellet in front of the Porsche IMSA Performance and Ferrari AF Course. Only a few metres to go for the Inter-Europol competition car. For a first season at the VDV, this was perfect from a strategic point of view from the Polish team.
I think there's nothing better we could have done with the strategy. It seems to work out pretty fine. I drive the first 2 hours, then Martin takes over, and yeah, he did a great job.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
So into Europol competition on the top step of the podium. The Fontaine, Decoteau and Perroir are third in front of the Ginetta 55 and the Ligier JSP3 of Cox Racing. In GT, the IDEC team delighted after picking up the win in the closing section of the race. We're happy with the car, though we need to keep working on it. We're happy to have won, and it was a beautiful race. Paul did a great stint, and we also benefited from the woes of others. It's important to say that. I'm happy because we've got another race here in a month, and I hope we'll do well. We're very happy. Final podium for this French round with a GT category and the success of IDEC Sport Racing. Final second place for the Porsche Performance in front of the Ferrari AF Course and the Renault of AB Sport Alto. So that's already the end of the third VDV round of 2016. We'll see you in about a month when the action will come from the Spanish circuit of Motorland Aragon. Until then, farewell and keep watching Motors TV.